Hey everybody, welcome back to the 6th round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-hosts. As all from where are you even now? I don't even know. You
I'm in Vegas
what part of
now.
you what?
I'm in Vegas, Las
Oh,
Vegas.
you're in Vegas. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know where.
For the karate combat event last night.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. I know we couldn't. I know we can't get you credentials to a UFC event, but
No,
you know, yeah. So
you want that?
Eddie, once again, world traveling off there, working for Karate Combat, but he's here. He's in
Well, not
Vegas.
in for karate combat. No.
Well,
I don't work
working.
for them.
I don't mean for. I mean working at. Working for
They don't
Bloody
give me
Elbow
a
at.
damn dime.
I know they should though. Just having you there on board.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You
Chief.
elevate the product for them if they don't recognize that.
No, I think they do.
But if we're a little choppy tonight with our recording, apologies. Eddie's coming to you guys over some absolutely shitty hotel Wi-Fi, so we get what we get out of
But
it.
on the bright side, there's a little Marilyn Monroe picture
Yeah,
painting
yeah,
behind me. So you're
that's
welcome.
right. Yeah, we're spicing it up. We're adding a little extra flavor to the sixth
Yeah,
round.
a little pizzazz.
That's right. So we're coming to you all from the close of UFC 296, going down at the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada, where we very likely just saw the final UFC title fight of Colby Covington's career.
Yeah, I don't know. He looked absolutely terrible out there.
He really did. I mean, he found a way back. He found a way into this fight by the 5th round of it, but it was even that was not fun. That wasn't like the Covington. Oh God, dare I say it? But like Covington versus Lawler or Covington versus RDA when we had the fun, high volume swarming Colby Covington. It was just the grindy wrestle Colby Covington, and taking 4 rounds to find his way to that kind of fight is not.
No, this was terrible. He wanted to pretend like he won. Like he was
Yeah.
shocked he didn't go his way. That's insane. This
No,
fight
it's just
was trash. I hated it. This was the lamest fights on the card. Colby didn't show up
no.
for
He
whatever
didn't show
reason.
up at all.
We can speculate as to why. Perhaps he's injured. Perhaps
Yeah.
guilty feet have no rhythm.
There you go. Perhaps he's just old. I mean, I hate
He's
to say it.
34 years young. What are you talking about? There's not a scratch on him. He's brand new.
Except for the big one on his nose as he's saying that.
And the big welts on his leg. Like a giant rust spot.
Yeah. No, it was no fun, and he got to sit and wait on the sidelines for the better part of a year at least. I mean, he didn't fight for since March, for a year and a half, year and 8 months. He got to sit on the sidelines, and he got a title shot for waiting and for beating a very thoroughly washed Jorge Masvidal, and I just can't see that being out there for him again. If he's gonna fight for something again, he's gonna have to fight other top contenders. And he said, I was a little surprised, honestly, that after that fight, he's talking about, I feel ready to go and I want to get back in there and I want to fight again, because he just hasn't sounded or looked like a man. He didn't look like tonight a man that interested in fighting. So
no, he didn't look like he wanted to be there at all.
Yeah.
Except for when he found that top position in the 5th. And then he did try to finish. Like he tried. He tried to force that arm triangle.
Sure.
But it was weird for him to get there. That's odd. It's out of character.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, this just feels like, he came into MMA. They even teased it in the opening to the fight. He was recruited by Chael Sonnen on his way, out of college to go into MMA. And it just feels like the legacy of second place Sonnen lives on all the way to the end, you know?
Wow. Phil Sonnen.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm with it.
From start to finish.
It's like the blueprint.
Yeah. It's just kind of laid out.
It's an archetype at this point.
Because, you know, how many other fighters have gotten 3 title shots in the UFC and not won one of them? Chael Sonnen fought Anderson Silva twice, and John Jones, you know?
Maybe like the Benavidez.
Yeah, that Joe B. Yeah, he did. So,
not many though. Not many people.
Yeah,
3 chances.
It's pretty low, and I think Covington might be the only one to ever get 3 chances in the same division without winning.
How many chances did Max Holloway get at Volkanovski?
Yeah, but Max Holloway had already won a title. What I'm saying is, how many fighters have gotten in 3 title shots in one division and not won one of them?
Never win a title. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rare.
So, if this is the last time we get a full press of his shtick for a pay-per-view headliner, I will not be sad about it.
I have no desire to really see him fight again. If that's what he's going to be like from now on. Because I don't think this was I'm not going to credit Leon Edwards with shit.
No, this was just not fun at all.
Colby didn't show up.
No.
And it's not like, I mean, I feel like Edwards could have pressured. He could have like taken him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And like he was content to just win on points.
Yeah. It seemed like Edwards was, I mean, if Covington's going to hang back, he's just handing Edwards the fight that Edwards wants. You know, it's just there on a plate of like, oh, you're just going to let Leon Edwards snipe from range? He's just going to...
I don't like watching Leon Edwards fight.
Yeah.
I don't like watching Colby Covington fight.
They are not fighters who have built their brand around entertainment. They've built their brand around winning and finding ways to win within different aspects of the MMA meta. Edwards is a low output, high accuracy pot shot sniper, and Covington is a high volume, used to be, not anymore, was a high volume, low accuracy swarmer. And with the volume gone from Covington's game, and this has been gone since he got crushed by Usman in that first fight, he's not been that volume fighter anymore. And with that part of his game gone, it just is hard to see how he wins really high level fights. You know?
I would have been happy to just see some pressure out of him.
He's just
the whole time.
He's just not that guy anymore. And I mean, the other thing too, I got to say is MMA Masters isn't really the camp for that either. You know, you think of your MMA Masters fighters, and there are a lot of very sort of back foot power pot shot. You know, a lot of them are very dynamic fighters, so they lean on that. But Covington's not dynamic. That's never been his game. So. Mm-hmm. He's kind of working with a team that it doesn't feel like it's really primed to keep him as the fighter that he was.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's really weird.
No. Yeah. I mean...
Unless he's just washed, then it makes sense.
Yeah, I think there is that. Like, it also does seem like he's a little slower. It seems like his confidence has got shook up by Usman.
Yeah, gun shy.
Yep.
Shitty performance.
Yep.
And Edwards is par for the course. That's like what he does.
You give Edwards a bunch of time and space, that's the fight he's going to have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, not fun.
No.
Both these guys are boring. But you know who's not?
Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Look at this. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. You know me better than I know myself.
That's right.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, but Bilal's deserving." Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Nah.
I hate to say you can't walk away from that fight and think, the guy. What I really want to see right now is Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad 2. That's what I want right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate to say it. Does Bilal deserve it on the merits of his record? Sure, but sometimes deserves got nothing to do with it. It is.
Wait, Shavkat. I mean, look at Shavkat's record though.
Yeah, I mean, Shavkat deserves it on his record. He just hasn't been in the UFC doing it for as long as Bilal has. But he's finishing literally everybody.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some of the shit he was doing out there, man. That Dagestani handcuff he had, like, holy shit, man. That was some insane grappling. Just insane.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But it does. Yeah, it does feel like he needs to be next. It does feel like, if I'm looking at the rankings right now, and I wasn't, I should have had them pulled up, but I got a little.
Well, I mean, you got Bilal, you got Colby, Gilbert, Burns, and then Shavkat.
Yeah, you've got a guy, Gilbert Burns, he's coming off a loss. Kamaru Usman, he's coming off a loss. Bilal Muhammad, Colby Covington is now coming off a loss. And then you've got Bilal Muhammad and you've got Shavkat Rakhmonov. Those are the two coming off wins. And, so we got somebody asking, would Shavkat be favored against Edwards? I think this version of Leon Edwards, I would take Shavkat Rakhmonov. The Leon Edwards that fought tonight and is out there just slow-paced pot-shotting.
I don't know how you can favor anyone against Shavkat.
Yeah.
Like, fuck all that.
I think that Rakhmonov would be the favorite.
He's the surest lock in MMA right now.
And that to me is probably the better argument than any to make this fight over the Bilal Muhammad fight, because I would absolutely favor Leon Edwards over Bilal Muhammad. We saw that fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Edwards just had Bilal's number. Yeah. Edwards had Bilal's number, but Shavkat, if I'm going to favor a fighter over the champ, then I want to see that title fight.
I did some sports gambling here in the Vegas.
Oh yeah.
I went to the sports book.
Did you make any money?
I did a little parlay with Pantoja and Rakhmonov.
Oh, that's a smart parlay.
Yeah, I felt like, although Pantoja was scaring me, and then I did one with a small little bet with Pantoja, Rakhmonov, Aldana, and Feely.
Oh yeah, hey, that's also a smart play.
Yeah, it worked out.
I'm surprised
I went and cashed them right after Pantoja, so I had time between the Colby fight to go get my money, get both of my dollars.
You didn't take anything off of Paddy Pimblett's absolutely guaranteed win over Tony Ferguson?
No, because it was too weird. When fights are weird like that, I try to just stay really far away from them.
Fair enough. Speaking of Pantoja Royval putting a scare in you, that was a really weird fight for Pantoja, because he had that, like, he got a little gassed against Brandon Moreno and then was able to pick it up and have a second wind and come back and keep hurting Moreno and keep ahead in that fight. Against Royval, though, it felt like he just gassed and stayed gassed.
Yeah, but I had to keep telling myself, Pantoja can fight tired. He's great.
He can fight tired. He can fight tired. He was very effective at fighting tired. Judges were crueler than I was. I gave Royval round 3. I could see giving him potentially round 5. Honestly, 3, 4, and 5 were all rounds that I could see Royval getting some combination of any of them. I didn't think it was likely he would get all 3 and win, but they were all ugly rounds. Judges, though, were just
I
They were
gave
just
all
like,
of them to Pantoja.
you had the 50-45.
Yeah, but some of those were super close. Like they
Yeah,
had like
like
individual moments where they were doing well. Like Brandon would do like start out really well on the feet, and then Pantoja would get his takedown and do like just enough ground and
yeah,
pound, in my opinion, to sway
like
me.
I mean, unfortunately for Royval, what kept coming up in this fight is he is not an accurate enough striker to win at a really high level. Like there is way too much leaf blower volume out there for him that is not aimed at anything, doesn't land clean. It's just opportunities for people to hit him. And so you had, Royval out there throwing like 4 strikes to Pantoja's 1, and Pantoja would just club him one time. And you're like, oh, well, Pantoja wins that exchange. And the other thing is just the positional control, which has been a problem for Royval's whole career. He's sometimes been able to scramble through it and win fights with it, but at the highest level, like Pantoja could just beat him to a position, and then the grappling would stop there.
Oh man, yeah, this was a winnable fight for Royval. Definitely a winnable fight, but I think we got to mention how hard Pantoja came out of the gate.
Yeah,
he was sprinting, and I think that was a wise move because yes, it did make him tired and fatigued for pretty much 3 hard rounds, but it kind of it prevented Royval from getting going early.
Yeah, prevented him from getting to flow at all.
Yeah,
and it's not, and especially given
some of those entries to those takedowns Pantoja had were just gorgeous. Like we saw some really pretty scrambling out here, but and it's like that's a champion. He's a champion. He's got the heart. He's well rounded. He can make adjustments. And it seemed like, especially early on, anytime he landed something clean, it seemed to almost wobble Royval.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's got enough venom, or it seems like he's got enough venom. I think, and that was another reason why I gave him most of those or all of those rounds, because when Royval gets stuck and he's doing this, it's like it's hard for that. Like that's the most damaging thing I saw in the round.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I say, I gave Royval round 3. I think that was like the one round where
that was the closest in my opinion.
But like round 5, people are like, oh, he should have got round 5, and it's like, okay, he threw, like I don't know. I should get my stats up here.
Yeah, he got going early that round.
Yeah, he got going early in round 5
because his corner told him, like, you got to go.
Yeah, he threw 74, or he threw 98 strikes in round 5, but none of them had anything on him at all. So he's throwing all these strikes, and it's a lot of volume, but it's not a lot of power. Pantoja is still credited with landing 41 strikes in round 5. But at the end, he not only does he get Royval down and put him on his back, but at the end he gets to like side control and is landing those hammer fists. And you're like, that's far and away the hardest strikes that are getting landed this round.
Mm-hmm. Those are nasty. I'm so glad he did that too. It's like, you're just, it's situational awareness. You know how much time, it's a close round. He had a good start on the feet with strikes, which is damage, but counts more than holding someone there. So seeing him just put a stamp on ice the round, I guess. It's good shit.
Yeah.
Hard fight. It's kind of hard to watch though. I hate watching them all tired out there.
Yeah, that part was weird. I think in that way he may have underestimated Royval and thought he could get him out of there early, or just not done enough altitude training or something. I don't know. Like, you're champ now. Hopefully you're making enough money to have a really thorough camp put together for, getting in good cardio shape and all that. Because you don't want to see your champ just getting like absolutely ass end fatigued after 2 rounds, especially not at flyweight, where that every fight is going to involve a ton of scrambling.
But again, that's also, I think, just because he started so hard.
Yeah,
Like he doesn't always do that.
it's true.
I think that was maybe maybe he believed like, yo, I just strangled this guy. I'm gonna just go out there, put him on his back, and fucking strangle him again.
Yep,
And it
I
worked
think
out.
that's what it is. Fortunately, too, now we've got Amir Albazi versus Brandon Moreno coming up here for UFC Fight Night 237, and that's going to be your next flyweight title contender. Pretty much set for certain.
Yeah, it's how many times did Pantoja fight Moreno? You?
Pantoja has fought Moreno 3 times. He fought him once on Tough, once in the UFC as on
That's right.
undercard, and then once in
exhibition?
the title fight. Yeah.
The Tough was an exhibition, so it kind of doesn't count on the record, but still, I count it.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
I know.
What's up with flyweight, dude?
It's
to a point where you got to fight a motherfucker 4 times.
It's just literally, we're still dealing with the fallout of the UFC trying to cut every single flyweight, where you get rid of everybody and then you rebuild with like 10 guys and try to like remake a division out of that. They all have to fight each other. They all have to fight each other a bunch. You only have the 10 guys, and now they've got like 40, but the guys at the top are the 10 they started back with, So yeah, they created this problem, and it'll take a little while for them. They're getting close to solving it. Yeah, now we're getting Mokaev, we're getting Albazi, he's a new face. We're getting Manel Kopp out there, and Steve Erseg and Tajir Lanbakov winning and stuff like that. We're starting to get a new flood, but it's taking time. It takes a lot longer to get new contenders than people think it does.
Elliott might be making a run.
Who?
Tim Elliott.
Oh yeah, I doubt it, but I'd like it. But
yeah.
Even Tim Elliott doesn't believe he's making a run. Yeah, he said after that last fight. But yeah, back to the drawing board for Brandon Royval. I mean, he said he learned a lot after the first loss to Pantoja. I hope this teaches him a lot too, because he was very much like, I was wild then and I'm under control now, but it's kind of like, yeah, you're still too wild for title contention.
He didn't get submitted though.
He didn't get submitted. That's an upgrade. But he did get taken down literally every time he got within a foot of Pantoja. And he did still how accurate was he? I shouldn't speak out of turn before I just damn a man for being inaccurate and leaf blowery. He landed 54% of his strikes. That is a big step up for Brandon Royval, apparently. So that's a credit to him. But it's still a sloppy game.
You gotta credit Pantoja for he consistently came up with something in those exchanges to where he almost always got the better of him.
Yeah, I mean,
whether it was a hard knee up the middle, an overhand, in the 5th round when he was fading really bad, he started going to the calf kick, and it was really effective. It bought him some time. So he made all the right adjustments, and he's just a step. He's just better.
Yeah, I said, it was a step up for Royval that he landed 54% of his strikes, but Pantoja landed 60. So literally every time Pantoja let something go, it landed.
Yeah, every other time he was hitting something. And a lot of that was ground and pound too.
Yeah. But there were some heavy shots. He wanted to fight on the feet too early on, and
he won the fight every round in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
all right. That brings us to the welterweight bout. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And, it was a little harder for Shavkat than I thought it might be, which is, I think, still a credit to just how tough Thompson is to take out and to take off of his game. But, man, I just was absolutely sure this was going to be a real rough night for Thompson. Like,
Yeah,
Rachmanov,
of course,
yeah,
you have to, right? And so I'm here in Vegas for Karate Combat and Karate. Stephen Thompson, he commentates some of the events, right?
yeah,
He's always around, part of the culture. Excuse me. And all the karate guys, which I love, by the way, they're great, but they're all trying to like convince me. They're like, "Oh, maybe I should put some shillings on Thompson," and I'm just like, "You must not like money."
no, yeah.
And they
How
also
much?
try to kind of talk me into picking Sam Alvey to be the Karate Combat champion, heavyweight champion. And I was like, "Nah, I'm picking Sam. Don't you get in my head with this karate stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
call me, damn it."
We've been around MMA too long to trust this shiny pants kickboxing nonsense.
Yeah.
But
Oh, by the way, when I was there, I met Zachary Skaggs, who is on part of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. He's one of the ringside physicians, and he came up and just said he loves the show, the 6th round. He always tunes in. So
hey.
shout out to him.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. We're happy to have you listening.
It made me feel so great.
Right?
I'm like, well, I have to do this now. Like, I have to show up.
Yeah,
at least one person would miss it.
You can't run off on us. All right. Yeah, so this was, I mean, some people out there were a little bored by what Rachmanov was doing out there. We're a little like, oh, he's, just kind of doing the whole wrestle and snuggle hug thing. But I got to say, I really love a grappling game like this. I am much more ready to show up for this kind of grappling game because everything Rachmanov is doing out there,
it progresses into something else.
It's all set up to be dangerous and to set it. It's all a trap. It's all just like, like the best way to show it is when when he's like grabbing Thompson by the leg. And it's like, oh, he's going to try to people are like, oh, he's going to try to tip him down and take him to the mat and all that. It's like, no, he's just going to grab the leg and punch him really hard several times because the position he sees the advantage of every position he's in. And he uses that advantage to set something up. And he's like that on the ground too, where he would take Thompson down. And there's that moment where he's like handcuffing one arm behind his back and like twisting it up. So Thompson has to like roll and go to his back. And then Rachmanov is on top and he's in half guard and he's moving to, start to get into like an almost rear naked choke position from what would be an arm triangle position. And it's like all of it is just forcing you to have to give up more if you're going to fight out of whatever he's doing. And
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. That is the kind of jiu-jitsu, that is the kind of grappling that I love to see, even if it's not involving a bunch of striking, and Rachmanov often is. But even if you're not striking and you're doing that kind of stuff, there's, to me, a big difference between that kind of progressive, punishing, trap-laying grappling and just being on top in half guard, kind of being like, I'm here and I'm happy to be here.
Bro, I'm not picking anyone against him.
No.
Not a soul. Like, for a while.
I do not want my village raided and burned to the ground on horseback. So I am also not picking against him.
Hey, man, he rolls with birds, too. Did you see that hawk he's just walking around with?
I think that might have even been an eagle.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So...
Man, I'm really high on this guy.
Yeah, awesome performance from him. He's got to be, if they give Bilal the title shot for next, then Shavkat Rachmanov, he can either just sit and wait and get that title shot for that, or he'll fight a top contender. And honestly, for me, you put him in there with Muhammad Covington Burns right now. I'm picking Shavkat Rachmanov. You put him in there with Kamaru Usman, I'm picking Shavkat Rachmanov. Like,
Hamzat's interesting.
Yeah, but Hamzat's not coming back down to welterweight. That's never going to happen again. I don't believe that. He's talking
Yeah,
about light
probably.
heavyweight last I heard.
Well, he was talking about not fighting and just loving people.
Yeah, so I'll believe Khamzat Chimaev in a fight next time I see him in a fight. Until then, he's off the radar. All right, that brings us to a lightweight bout. Paddy Pimblett, Tony Ferguson, and this was probably the worst way this fight could have gone, and exactly the most depressing version of this fight that I would have feared.
Really?
Which is, yeah, pretty much. Because
most depressing for me would be if Tony got knocked out.
Yeah, but he came close. He got hurt a bunch. And
I don't know about close. He dropped once.
He got hurt enough to make me feel like he was still getting hurt plenty, but not enough to make me feel like he's going to stop fighting. If he just gotten bulldozed by Paddy Pimblett, then maybe I'd be like, well, maybe Tony Ferguson will finally see what everybody else knows. There's just nothing left in the tank anymore.
I mean, I just feel like it's a gentle loss, as gentle as it could be, and that's all.
Which is to me the worst thing, because it's just like he's going to look at that and be like, "Oh, I've got things I can improve. I got things I can go back and do and correct." And I'm just like, I don't want to see Tony Ferguson on the Bigfoot Silva circuit in Russia losing to, juiced up middleweights, just stomping a mud hole in him. It is not.
I would absolutely watch him in karate combat against someone, an elder.
Yeah. You got Bill Superfoot Wallace out there, maybe, or he doesn't. It's just gone. The game is just gone.
Yeah, it's hanging out with Colby Covington. Holy shit, dude! They had their little alliance. Maybe it's because both of their games left at similar times.
Covington has so much left in the tank compared to Ferguson. Like there, and Covington may be running nearly on empty, but Tony Ferguson is pure gas can on the side of the road in the middle of the desert territory. Like his car is 10 miles back, and it is noon, and he is in Death Valley, and that gas can is empty, and there is no traffic on the road. It is desolate.
Yeah, not good. Almost on an island.
Yeah, I
hope he never fights again, honestly.
He was not competitive for even like half a round with Paddy Pimblett.
I like that he stayed active off his back and kept looking for submissions and throwing his little elbows.
Sure, but
it showed signs of life.
He's not. The man is not dead. I will say that for him. But
I was scared that he was going to get sparked out by Paddy, and I didn't want to see that.
Yeah, I didn't want to see that either. But I don't. This just felt so draining.
He needs to go hang out with Chuck Liddell and like the Garrett's and and just stop. He needs to stop or do grappling.
Yeah, exactly. Go do Fight Pass Invitational. Make that your thing.
Go grapple GSP.
Yeah, there's something. There's life in that.
Yeah, go grapple GSP.
Although I still feel like it's a damning indictment of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu that Tony Ferguson hasn't even been able to hold on to his grappling game as he's gotten older. Like,
I don't know about that.
I mean,
why do you say that? That's the only thing he fucking had here. That was the only thing he had here.
He's losing on the ground to everybody he fights just as much as he's losing on the feet to everybody he fights.
That is nothing new. Do you not remember him fighting Danny Castillo and Castillo held him down for 3 whole rounds, but Tony was throwing elbows, so he still won the.
Yeah, but he still had enough there to even that then is a damning indictment of the 10th Planet thing. Like, it just feels like a gimmick game.
The 10th Planet game? No,
his version of it his version of it. Maybe not the actual thing, but his version of it.
I thought he was pretty effective. He didn't get finished. I thought he was pretty like he was only effective with his guard. His guard retention was there. That was the only like hopeful thing he had going on.
Yeah, it's still
just a complete domination.
But it's still, I don't know. It's still just him losing on the ground, you know.
I guess what I'm saying is, he should go grapple with GSP.
Yeah. Okay. Pimblett. Yeah, I mean, this is just a bad look for him too, because he gassed in a round, beating up a corpse. Like,
yeah,
he had delay and pray 2 rounds to victory over the ghost of Tony Ferguson.
And another thing, Pimblett just got a 2nd degree black belt. He's no slouch on the ground. So I think you have to take into consideration too. I think what Tony did with his guard for self-defense, I think was solid.
Okay, given who was on top of him. But this is a dude who was, you know, just a few years back, one of the very best fighters in the world. And now we're just giving him like survival credit.
I know. That's why I don't want him fighting anymore.
Yeah.
I want him grappling GSP.
Yeah. But yeah, for Pimblett, I don't know. I mean, this just kind of feels like confirmation of what people have been saying for a long time, which is that he may be a fun fighter and he may have a lot of fans, but the potential for him to be a contender ever is not there. You know?
Talking about Tony or Pimblett?
No, Pimblett.
Oh. No. How old is he?
He is still only 28, but he's been fighting for a full 11 years now. I think his game is just what it is, and this is it. You know, this is the dude. You saw it tonight.
The thing is, like, his striking defense is so porous, and he puts his chin up there a lot. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do with Jalen Turner?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with Fiziev? You know what I mean? What are you going to do with all these wrestle boxers?
Yeah.
You get fucking slept.
Exactly. Tony Ferguson was landing a few strikes early before he started getting popped.
And he's going to.
Yeah. So I don't know. Pimblett's just I think, he's there to be a fun mid-card talent for the UFC. He's always gonna have his fan base, but this is just a bad fight for both guys, and I'm glad it's over. It was cynical booking, and it came off as a cynical fight by the end of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, he should probably just fight out his contract and then just do like celebrity exhibitions. Never take that hard loss that we know is coming.
Exactly.
Just step away from MMA and do.
Celebrity boxing is right there for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think he would do well in the influencer boxing scene.
Yeah, he could probably make a couple $100,000 boxing Dylan Dennis or something.
100%. I mean, a couple $100,000. He could probably make like a sizable amount.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with his fan base.
That people show up for him. All right. Let's move on. I'm getting too depressed talking about that fight still. Featherweight bout: Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell. Gravity, a real force. Turns out, absolutely, do not want to mess with gravity if you're going to get hit that hard, because man was not floating after that right hand landed on him.
Yeah. I don't know how anyone favored Bryce Mitchell here.
No. I mean, and this was short notice too, and we just watched that Dan Ige fight.
145er.
We just watched that Dan Ige fight where he couldn't get takedowns that easily, and he ate a lot of heavy shots from Dan Ige. And now you're turning around and you're being like, okay, what about like that guy, but harder to take down and hits bigger.
Mm-hmm.
What if we do that? And people are like, "Oh, I'm picking Bryce Mitchell," and it's like, for what?
Exactly. Like what? I heard this a lot because I'm out here, like tons of MMA media is out here and like people in the fold, right? And so I'm debating everybody.
Sure.
Like they're like, oh well, Yair submitted him, and I'm like, yeah, Yair pieced him up on the feet first.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like he came out with this grappling plan and he's him down. Like
he got Emmett desperate for Emmett to try to wrestle, for Emmett to try to like close down Yair and to overreach and try to make other things happen so that Yair could have the reactive submission.
And if you look at who Emmett loses to, it's awesome strikers, dangerous strikers. And that's the opposite of Bryce Mitchell.
Yep.
These odds.
And then there were like people like, oh, you even heard it in like Rogan talking about it during the fight with the counter. He's like, oh, we know, with what Bryce Mitchell did to Edson Barboza, he can strike too. It's like everybody hits Edson Barboza really clean. Anybody that pressures Edson Barboza can get to Edson Barboza. That is Edson Barboza's big flaw, is that if you go after him, he gets to galloping and circling, and his hands go down, and he just is so focused on moving his feet that he doesn't think about what's coming at him, and he just gets hit. That is an Edson Barboza thing. You cannot compare that to Josh Emmett, who is just dangerous all the time, moving forward or backward. He hits exactly as hard all the time, and you do not want to ever step in there with him. You look at guys like Yair Rodriguez, Ilya Topuria, what they did, and it was to really carefully pick apart Emmett from the edges of range until he was desperate and predictable. And then at that point, you can pick him off. You can make him do something stupid. And then, you just have Jeremy Stevens basically going 50-50 and finding out that his chin was better than Emmett's, which nobody else wants to play that kind of math. That's terrible math.
Yeah, man. So I expected Emmett to just run shop on the feet, but I didn't expect this. This is the cleanest overhand right knockout that I've seen at this level in years. Like years.
Just crushing.
Like you have to go back to when they had people in there that didn't really belong there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mitchell,
he was convulsing. His legs were shaking. That was hard to watch. And then when he stood up, he was still all stumbly.
Mitchell got raptured out there. Like, God came down and picked him up.
He was baptized for sure.
Yeah.
Man, I hope he's okay, for real.
Yeah,
I do. That was a very gnarly knockout.
I mean, he's talked in the past about kind of wanting to quit MMA. I can't imagine that is going to make him. I can't imagine that's going to silence those doubts if he still has any of them.
It was a bad night for the Americans once Trump showed up. They all lost after he sat down.
Good old boys had a bad night of it. But all right.
Hold on. This seems like a good time to talk about how Sean Strickland fought Dricus Du Plessis.
Oh yeah. The other fight on the card.
Which it was better than the main event. But anyways, some brainiac from the UFC like, let's put Sean Strickland right here and Dricus right behind him. What could possibly go wrong? And sure as shit, they got into a fist fight. Sean escorted some kids away. He was like, watch out. Mm-hmm. And then hops over a row of people and just starts punching them. Dricus gets on top and security breaks it up. But who needs to be fired for putting them there?
No. Somebody got a raise out of that. Somebody got a raise out of that because they showed that footage during the event, or did they actually? I saw it everywhere. After they said they were going to show it, did they actually show
They
it?
said, but I don't think they
I
actually
don't think they
did.
did. No, they actually didn't. They got that footage is everywhere out there. That footage is going to be in every damned promo for the next month for this fight. It is going to be the selling point. And yeah, no. So whoever made that seating arrangement is getting a secret $5,000 from Dana White.
Yeah, they're getting a locker room bonus.
Mm-hmm.
A performance bonus for that one.
Yeah, no. That was
but like when shit like that happens though, that can go really south. Really fast.
No, of course.
That's a dangerous game to play.
It was damn foolish, but it seems like everybody got away with it. Dricus du Plessis is still mouthing off about it, and I'm sure Sean Strickland is
like,
fine.
No wonder your finishing rate is 33%. You hit me like a bitch or something. I don't know. Well,
so let's get down to the prelims here. Alonzo Menafield, Dustin Jacoby, and man, Menafield is starting to put something together. I can't believe Pat Barry was the one to like turn the man around, but Pat Barry has instilled a calm into Alonzo Menafield, a calculated, actual ability to stay calm and collected in a fight. Pat Barry did this. Even Dean Thomas was like, I cannot believe I'm saying this. I would never have thought that Pat Barry could coach a fighter.
Right.
But Menafield, like, he has the kind of power.
Yeah,
Dustin Jacoby was.
What about Rose Namajunas? Huh?
What about Rose Namajunas?
He coached her.
He did not. That's Trevor Whitman. Do not put Pat Barry.
Yeah. He groomed her. Sorry. I'm in Vegas. Moving on.
Okay, moving on. But Dustin Jacoby was running away with about 75% of this fight. All through just landing the better shots, landing the cleaner offense, getting Menafield on his heels, getting in his head, just fighting a really good fight. And Menafield just kept finding the shots to crush him. And for a dude that, like, even just a couple fights ago for Menafield was swarming Jim Crute to the point, this was early this year, he was swarming Jim Crute to the point that he got so exhausted he couldn't keep fighting. For Menafield to be collected enough to just, like, come back in the third round with that lunging left hook to take that was a fight he was on his way to losing right there.
100%.
Jacoby was easily up in the third round and seemed to be cruising. And for Menafield to find that kind of punch and to be have that moment of collected energy, to still have it left in him to come back like that, he's athletic enough that this is the division where if you can stay that dangerous, you can put together a lot of wins.
Yeah. And honestly, he almost finished Jacoby in the second round, and the only reason he didn't is because he overswung on one of his punches. That gave Jacoby just enough space to squirt out into the middle of the octagon. But it was right there. Yeah.
So great win for Menafield. Honestly, the kind of win I didn't ever think he could get, because it's taken him so long just to, speaking of the overswing, it's taken him just so long to get his feet under him when he punches so that he doesn't overswing everything. He's a fighter who used to get off balance every single time he threw something. And so it's taken him so long to get to this point where his footwork is stable. I never thought he would beat a fighter like Dustin Jacoby. So for him to go out there and get a win like this and get into the light heavyweight rankings and have a chance to make a few moves, good for him, man. Like, honestly, it's impressive.
He's got scary power.
He does. He's 36, but
you can't stop a jab.
no,
But he's got scary power.
He's got scary power, and light heavyweight and middleweight are kind to old fighters. They give a lot of space for late career improvement, and he's got the power that he can hang in there and make some fun fights. You know, I'm impressed.
Yeah, tons of fun.
Let me see. Is there a ranked fight now for him off of this? He beat Dustin Jacoby. He's ranked 14 right now. I do not ever want to see him fight Dominic Reyes.
Isn't Reyes booked?
He is, unfortunately, with Carlos Ulberg. That's nasty work.
Oh my
goodness. And Alonzo Menifield versus Azamat Murzakanov or Ryan Spahn or Volkan Oezdemir, even. I would watch the hell out of any of those.
I thought he already fought Ryan.
Did he already fight Ryan? He might have.
No, he did.
No, he hasn't. So
feels like he has.
Does feel like a fight that's happened, but it is not. So you book Menifield against Murzakanov, Spahn, or Oezdemir. I'd watch the hell out of that. You know?
Well, I mean, it doesn't even anybody.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, but I'm just saying. The idea for me of Menifield thinking about the idea of a fight between Menifield and Oezdemir would not have at any point in the past 3 years seemed like a realistic fight at all. And suddenly it's a fight I'm like, I want to see that fight. Book it now.
You know? I'm not that excited for it because of Oezdemir. Because of Oezdemir. Like, it's on some weird performances sometimes.
Whatever. He's not gonna go out there and wrestle Alonzo Menifield, is he?
Give me Menifield and Khalil Roundtree.
Well, yeah, but Roundtree's already on his way to bigger things.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Now we get our fight of the night, though, all the way down here on the prelims. Irene Aldana, Carol Hossa.
This one scared the shit out of me too, because I had Aldana in my parlay.
I picked Aldana, Vivisection Connor, and my read on this going, it was like, this is weird because it seems like a fight that should be both really close and really wide. Like, I really thought Irene Aldana easily should have this win. She is much better poised to go out there and just do work on Carol Hossa. But then I'm also just like, but that's mostly an attitude and a confidence thing, because Carol Hossa has not looked like a confident fighter lately. Because if I'm just going skill for skill, toughness for toughness, Carol Hossa can have a fight where she hangs with Irene Aldana, as we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And Carol Hossa, I mean, she showed up her best self in this fight. This is the version of her that when she got to the UFC and she had a couple early fights with Laura Procopio and Vanessa Mello and Jocelyn Edwards, it was like, oh, Hossa looks like she's got a pretty fun game putting together. And then she's just started to lose confidence and put on worse fights ever since. And this felt like the first time since that Jocelyn Edwards fight where she really put something together again. And it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen somebody eat this many leg kicks and not be compromised and still have the rules. Not even a stance switch. Like,
no. Maybe it's time for me to admit that Sick Jitsu is right and I am wrong. That anybody that gets TKO'd due to a leg kick or a tummy punch is just a wuss and a coward and a sissy. And it's all mental, and you just got to be tough enough to take the damage. Because Irene Aldana, I don't know how she did that. Like,
her legs are Mexican.
I mean, all of them. Yeah.
No, this was wild, man.
Yeah.
And like, as soon as she started getting her leg chewed up, like right away, I thought it was over. I was like, there's no way we're gonna get 2 more rounds of this. It was bad. It was almost like maybe they should stop it because she's not blocked. Like, she's not intelligently defending herself. She didn't check one of those motherfuckers.
Nope.
Not one.
No.
She's not gonna walk for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks.
But
that's rough. But credit to her for like gutting through it and getting her jab going.
And realizing too that like she needed to pressure. You've gotta back Hossa up.
You got to crowd the kicker.
Yep. And she did that all the rest of the fight. And then in the third, it seemed like Hossa had kind of found her rhythm back in. And Aldana hit her with that body shot. And started tagging her late. And you're like, Hossa may have done. She did the more technical work this round. And I can't give it to her because Aldana just came through and found the better shots.
And she fucked her eye up. It was all swollen, and then in the third, it was all bleeding, and she's
we can see the damage. We can see the damage. Aldana's doing it. Just an awesome fight. You
can't really see the damage with the leg kicks, even though like it clearly looked like they hurt. I don't know. That one boggles my mind.
Great fight. Awesome performance from Irene Aldana. It's too bad that the Nunes fight went so poorly for her. But
I don't think it was an awesome performance. Like,
it was a performance that it is a performance that a lot of people are going to praise her a lot for, and it will sign her up for a bigger fight. And she's quite lucky that Amanda Nunes is no longer champ, because Juliana Pena and Raquel Pennington and Myra Bueno Silva are all very decent, solid, high-level fighters, but there's not the same gulf there between them and Irene Aldana. Aldana can compete with any of them in a way that she could not compete even a little bit with Nunes.
No, for sure.
All right. That brings us to a bantamweight fight. Cody Garbrandt, Brian Kelleher, and all respect to Cody Garbrandt, I absolutely did not believe that after that Trevin Jones fight, I did not believe at all that he had any kind of reasonable performances left in him. And
he won. He beat
a Trevin Jones that didn't realize that he needed to throw any punches to win the fight. And then Trevin Jones started throwing punches in the third round and immediately started fucking Cody Garbrandt up. And it's just like, had you done this at any point earlier in this fight, you would be winning. But now you got one round after just walking and looking at him for two whole rounds. But and Kelleher, he came out there with the low kicks and everything. I was like, man, this just feels like we've found a new way for Cody Garbrandt to lose. And
I was scared for him.
Yeah.
I picked Garbrandt. I picked Garbrandt. And I picked him because you have to look at who Garbrandt has lost to. Right? Like his level of competition.
Sure. I'll buy that. I'd buy that to some extent.
Nah, but come on now. TJ Dillashaw twice. Pedro Munoz. Rob Font. Kai Kara France in a weird flyweight showing. Like Brian Kelleher he's not in that conversation with those
He's
names.
not, but neither is Trevin Jones. And like I said, that third round,
you keep acting like he didn't.
He beat Trevin Jones in the least. There was nothing good to take out of that for Cody Garbrandt. He looked gun shy.
A win and a little bit of confidence.
I get the confidence must have come out of that because he actually sat down on a couple of punches in this fight that showed off his speed and reminded everybody why he should still be a title contender level fighter in his prime. He is still very much a fighter in his athletic prime. It is really wild to see a fighter, honestly, like him, who has had all the pieces of his game fall off so spectacularly at the same time that he put them all together. Like, this is literally, the taking years to build the supercar only to have it detonate the first time you turn the key, Well,
the second time.
The second time you turn the key, yeah. You won one race out of it, and then you tried to race it again, and it just exploded into a ball of fire on you.
But I'm
So
happy
yeah,
for him. I'm glad he got this here.
yeah.
I didn't love his call out though.
No, Davis and Figueiredo.
He's gonna fuck him up.
Yeah,
He's gonna take
we.
his lunch.
This is the supercar driving down the highway where the parts are falling off every half mile. There's something new dropping off, and this fight didn't look any different to that aspect. He started getting kicked in the leg, and his leg starts swelling up. And
Oh yeah, his shin grew another shin.
yeah, I can't look at Davis and Figueiredo going out there and being like, oh yeah, no, Cody Garbrandt's ready for the dude who just absolutely stopped Rob Font from doing anything for 3 rounds. The same Rob Font who went out there and just put it on Cody Garbrandt for 3 rounds. You know.
So you know how I was saying, Pedro Munhoz, TJ Weiss, Kai Kara-France.
Yeah.
Anderson Figueiredo is in that conversation. He is of that cloth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what the real thing to do right now is?
Cody.
Sorry,
you mean with Cody?
Yeah, with Cody.
There's
an obvious one. It's really obvious.
Cruz?
Yeah, Dominic Cruz too.
Yeah, sure.
That is the fight to make.
I like it.
Right?
Watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll peak again.
Yeah. There's always. I mean, look, he should. The wheels should not be this far off the car. So there should still be tread left on the tires. This win over Kelleher.
It's not so much the wheels falling off. It's just really bad decision making.
Yeah, but I mean, you also worry at this point that the confidence and that his brain has been rattled enough now that he's just easier to hurt than he ever used to be.
True.
You know.
Yeah.
The durability this is a nice little resuscitation, but it very much feels like Dominic Reyes territory where you're like, Dominic Reyes should still be right there in the mix at light heavyweight,
Should be, I guess.
Yeah. All right. This brings us to the surprise performance of the night. Ariane Lipski, Casey O'Neill. Yeah. And
I wasn't happy at all.
We were talking about it once again on the Vivisection going in this week. We picked Casey O'Neill, and we were like, the ground game is Casey O'Neill has it. She can get this fight to places that Lipski just loses, so we have to pick her. But if Casey O'Neill goes out and fights Ariane Lipski like she did Jennifer Maia, like she did Roxanne Modafferi, and just tries to be a swarming striker, this fight is very easy for her to lose because Lipski hits a whole lot harder than Jennifer Maia and Roxanne Modafferi, and is a whole lot smoother and slicker on her feet. And this is, if that loss to Maia wasn't the learning point, you hope that the loss to Lipski is the learning point for Casey O'Neill, that her striking is not good enough to go out there and just leaf blower volume at people and try to, mean mug her way to victory. Like, you can't do it.
I picked O'Neill, but I really wanted to pick Lipski. Like,
I did too.
Do it. You're gonna regret it. But we were coming down to the wire with the staff picks.
Yeah. You got to pull the trigger.
Yeah. So, which, by the way, I don't think anyone went up or down. And
yeah, we're all holding steady. I'm like two spots back here. God damn it! Somebody throw me a bone here.
That's it. I guess Anton probably won it then.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Right.
How does that work?
On a tiebreaker? Like, come on. That's lame.
Yeah. All right. That brings us to Jiro Lambakov, Cody Durden, and this is, Durden he looked all right for a minute, but he's kind of felt like he got stuck here where he came out and he's like, oh yeah, Lambakov just wrestles people. I'm here to be violent. It's like, you're here to wrestle people, dude. Right. Come on. Don't lie to us. And he tried to go out there and just outstrike Ulanbekov. But all that meant is that he set himself up to get out wrestled because his striking isn't that deep. And once he started getting out wrestled, then his wrestling game is all built for offense. It's not built for defense. And Ulanbekov beat him to grappling positions over and over.
He did okay at first in defending.
He did, yeah.
But holy shit, man, I can't even imagine what that must have felt like. Ulanbekov, he takes the back standing. He gets his position. He's over the jaw with the rear naked choke and then falls back, you know what I mean, to the ground. And like all that force, all that impact goes right into his jaw. Ugh.
Yeah.
A violent rear naked choke.
I mean, Cody Durden is one of those like huge faced people too, who like he's all jaw. He's got a jaw. It's like, this down here at the bottom. So like I can understand like Ulanbekov's not going to get under his neck. A napkin probably can't fit under that thing.
Sure.
But
no bibs for this guy.
Yeah. But the pressure has to be killed. I mean, you could see like you got to think you can hear you can feel like his jaw is like clicking back out of place and out of joint, like just nasty. All right.
Yeah. Durden did have some moments on the feet.
He did, yeah. He came out trying to be violent. Like I say, he came out trying to strike, and I think that just kind of let Ulanbekov be like, okay, well, if you're going to come at me with a bunch of striking, I'll come at you with the wrestling, and I can catch you off guard. So that brings us to Andre Fili, Lucas Almeida, and I had a big moment's hesitation here watching like the first minute of this fight. Andre Fili coming out there with this like capoeira thing that he's doing. I'm like, oh, what is this big change up for Andre Fili? I don't, you've been around for like 12, 13 years, dude. You're suddenly coming out like I'm capoeira guy now. I don't trust this. But hey, I mean, you land like that, you get to do what you want, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was a major step up for Almeida.
Yeah, it really was.
Major step up. Someone way more seasoned. This guy lost a fucking contender series. You know what I mean? You're not beating. Like, it just seemed like a bad matchup for him.
It was.
And I'm glad too, because I love that Fili got this win. He's going through some shit. He had to put his dog down, like flight left to go to Vegas. And
I talked about having to bury a friend recently too, and just like
that. So he was in his John Wick bag, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, he fucking
he looked violent.
It was nasty, dude.
It's a funky new game. I don't know how it's going to work for him, but in this fight, he looked violent, and that was fun. So,
I love the sound it made.
Yeah, that was just
when he clocked him.
I mean, poor Fili, because Josh Emmett came out there then and like really overshadowed just how bad Fili wrecked Lucas Almeida.
Yeah, that's funny. I was watching it with some people, and after the Bryce Mitchell thing happened, I was like, hey, that knockout was so awesome. I forgot what Garbrandt did. Like, I forget all these things,
Yeah, I just looked.
He did.
Performance of the night.
Emmett knockout was.
Performance of the night, Josh Emmett, Ariane Lipski, Shamil Gaziev. So
we didn't even talk about the finish from Lipski.
That's true, yeah.
That one short. It was damn near a club and sub. It was.
It really was.
But that triangle armbar.
Lipski's ground game, like it's one of those things where defensively her ground game is so bad that you forget about how unbelievably limb-wrenchingly violent she is when she gets to an offensive grappling position.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is. Like, it is the most live by the sword, die by the sword ground game I've ever seen, where it's just like she is either getting beat up on the ground by Molly McCann from top position, or she is absolutely turning somebody's leg backwards like she's riding a Sea-Doo, against
sure.
Yeah, who was that against Luana Carolina, where she just grabbed her leg and is like thrill, like grinning ear to ear, just wrenching it as far as she can. Lady is violent.
Violence, man.
Yep. And that brings us to our first fight of the card: Shamil Gaziev, Martin Buday, and this was a really good turn-up for Gaziev. Honestly, way better than I've ever seen him look at any point in his career. I watched his earlier fights, and he just seemed like he had a round of decent offense into him, and then he would just become a lay and pray artist, just kind of gas out, get real sluggish, very heavyweight, and he just put it on Martin Buday for 6 minutes, solid, nonstop.
That was a crazy pace.
Yeah,
that was a crazy pace. Man, Buday got mugged.
Yeah, I feel mauled. For a dude as tough as Buday has been too, because I really thought like Buday's toughness would see him through this fight. He would be tough, might get beat up a little early, but Gaziev would gas, and then Buday would still be there. But there was nothing he could do. He was just his chin is amazing to take all the punishment he did in this fight, but he just got mugged. You're right.
Yeah, and Shamil just seems more lethal.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean,
being a lethal heavyweight is what you want.
It is. I picked tough over lethal. I thought Buday was tough enough, but nope. Gaziev, he's got that heavyweight power that you need. So,
yeah, standing TKO.
Great debut performance from him. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter at Zane Simon. You can find Eddie on Twitter at Eddie Mercado. We're going to jump over to our Substack. For our Substack subscribers, we'll be dropping a little bonus content over on our Substack in just a bit. That won't be live, but that'll be available online in the next few hours. So stay tuned for that. And thank you, everyone, for jumping in, hanging out, commenting, liking our video, sharing it around, all that good stuff. We appreciate it a ton. Adios.
And Happy New Year.
And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, all those things.
What about Kwanzaa?
Happy Kwanzaa too, man. Adios.
What about